Does that always happen? You guys are start talking before the intro even ends. How does that happen?
No, that was actually on the deal. We wasn't even saying anything.
Oh, really? Because I can
Yeah.
hear you guys in the background. That's cool.
Yeah, no, that wasn't even. I didn't say anything because I was like, "Are they talking already? What's going on?" But that's definitely me laughing. I can guarantee you that right there.
It sounds like your laugh.
Oh, something's recorded on the deal now, man. I don't know. So what's up? How's it going, man?
What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Kings of the Sport, episode 17. From the Irish hills of Michigan to the foothills of Boise, Idaho, there were two races this past weekend, and we're here to break it all down. As always, I'm your host, Darren Williams Jr., and joining me as always, first up, the West Texas hustler, Michael Anderson. How's it going, Michael?
Man, it's going good, man. I'm glad to be back home. It's been a hell of a run of drag race in the past, I don't know, 3 weeks or so. But it was fun. You know, I can't say enough about all the tracks that we went to and raced up there in Norwalk, Ohio, and Martin, Michigan. And you know, it was just killer to get out there and be able to race that much in a short amount of time. You know, we don't really get that chance very often. And to be able to get out there and get that many laps in your car in a short amount of time is helped out tremendous. But glad to be back in South Taylor County, man. It was a hell of a run, but you know, other than the 110-degree heat, I'm glad to be home.
And you had a pretty good weekend in Martin, Michigan. We're going to break it down, of course, all tonight, but a career best, I believe, out there.
Yeah, man. You know, I've run a better ET, you know, a quicker ET, but not as good at, you know, just combination and deal. But we got the car to run 621, 248, and then 621, 240. So I, you know, can't be any more happy. And the really, you know, the whole winning part of this deal is everything stayed together. You know, I wasn't out there changing motors and I mean just tearing stuff up and first time I've gone out to the races and you know kept all the stuff that you really need in there. That you know, not changing everything in the world. You know, I had a lot of trouble with that with the old dump truck motor, but it was a good, successful couple of races. Martin, Michigan was super successful. You know, as far as on a personal standpoint of our racing, but dude, there you know. Whenever you go to racing with these guys, there's a lot of good racers out there. So, you know, showing up and running 621 might get you in the show, but you know, you got to run a whole lot faster than that to win.
Well, you weren't the only one racing this past weekend. Obviously, you were racing in Martin, Michigan, but our guy down right here, he was racing in Boise, Idaho. I guess you call him the second co-host of Kings of the Sport, Mr. Brian Hall. How's it going, Brian?
Hey, Darren. Hey, Michael. What's going on, guys?
Going good, man. Going good. And so, like we're talking about, 2 weekends, well, actually 2 races happening in the same weekend this past weekend, the Northern Nationals and the NightFire Nationals. You were racing out at the NightFire Nationals. Just kind of tell everybody just your experience. I know you've been there before, but your experience racing up there in Boise, Idaho.
Yeah, I've said this before. In Boise, it's, you know, it's kind of like Reading a little bit as far as the fans go. It's, I think it's one of the best experiences at a racetrack, just kind of in general. The new family up there, they really know how to put on a race. The fans aren't professional fans; they're just racing fans and families. They come by your pit, you know. They're just happy to see race cars in their town, you know, and they're not telling you how they would do it or anything like that. They just come by happy to grab a piston or a spark plug, or you know, just happy to see racing. And they do it right. The ice cream's great. Food's great. The weather this year was awesome, so that was a bonus. Besides a little bit of rain, which just kept the temperature down for us. Overall, a good experience up there. I think if anybody's within, you know, a 5-hour shot in a car, they should drive up and check it out at least once.
Okay, be honest, Brian. How much ice cream did you eat this past weekend?
You know, I was a little. When I'm racing, I get a little bit weird. I don't like to eat too much. Some of the crew guys will tell you that, but. You know, Cole saw me kind of tipping over there for a minute, and you showed up with a quart of vanilla ice cream at the last second and got my blood sugar up. But I think I might have had you know, a couple gallons.
I love it. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 17 of the Kings of the Sport podcast. If you're just now tuning in, make sure to like this show and share this show and let everybody know we're breaking down and recapping all the action from the 2 races this past weekend, from the Northern Nationals and the NightFire Nationals. Before we move on, we got a lot of comments already coming in First up from Joseph Gallegos, he says, "Let's go," with the fire emoji. Shout out to Joseph Gallegos. And then Larry Gotcha, he says, "Watching Hollywood, you were late."
I told you, man.
Mike Taylor was also racing this past week, and he says, "I miss you already." And Gary Wheeler, he's in the chat. He says, "Evening, Darren and Mr. 240 Hollywood." Shout out to Gary. Agriculture Central, he's here every week, and he says, "Got to watch everything from Martin on Flow Racing. Was a cool event for sure." And Michael, what a cool event it was, because like you said, not only was front motor Top Fuel on display, but also modern day Top Fuel. You had Outlaw Nitro Nostalgia Funny Cars. You had PDRA with their whole series. Just talk about that weekend of a whole and just the experience of, and those fans, man, I'll tell you what, it was packed to the fullest. And it seems like when you go to a regular national event, the show's always the Nitro. Once the Nitro cars are back in the pits, everybody goes back to the stands and wants to hang out there. But it seemed like, the fans at Martin, Michigan, they stayed in the stands for everything. They want to see everything.
Yeah, so that was one thing that was really kind of cool to watch happen. I hadn't personally been around the PDRA that much, but whenever me and James came in the gates on Wednesday morning to go, to go work on the car, there was toters, and I don't mean like little bitty toters. I'm talking about, $250,000, $500,000 toters and stackers from one end of that racetrack all the way out to the highway, stacked up, ready to come in there. It was unbelievable to see the following that group has. But we kind of hung around there, and then come Thursday, everybody started showing up, and then Friday comes around, and it starts getting pretty busy, with we start qualifying and stuff. But then Saturday rolled up, and oh my God, man, it was unreal to see how many people came in there. I mean, just you'd look up, and it was just droves of folks walking in, going around, and that that's what we want to see. That's what me and Brian want to see. When we walk out of working on our car, you want to see the people standing there looking at you working on your stuff, Jones for you to fire the car up, man. And that's what we have. And I guarantee you, he'll tell you the same thing where he was at. But the one thing that I did see that was very interesting about this was that it was a very engaged group of people. A lot of times you'll go to a race and they're like, oh, yell for this, yell for that. And it's kind of like, I don't care if they said yell for the Jolly Green Giant over there at the backside of whatever, blah, blah, blah. The crowd would just go crazy over it. And I don't know if they were shooting T-shirts or what it was, but I mean, they were just involved in what was going on. And if like something went wrong, like, they had quite a few little old wrecks with those pro mods over there. And I'm talking like you would hear, they were into the racing, and it was super cool, man, to watch them do that. And it gets you pumped up. I mean, you pull up there, and you're looking at thousands of people around there, and it seemed like there was thousands of people down on the start line too. It was really cool. It was just a great crowd, and for us as racers, we can't thank those folks enough for coming out and doing something like that.
And don't elaborate too much, because we're going to get into it in just a little bit. But Sean Bowen has a comment. He says, "Watch out for the shoots, Hollywood." Reference to something this past weekend. So we're going to talk about it and get into it in just a little bit. So you guys ready to break this whole thing down?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to first break down the NightFire Nationals from Firebird Raceway in Boise, Idaho.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your center console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Kings of the Sport, episode 17. We're now ready to break down the NightFire Nationals, 52nd edition of the NightFire Nationals. And how about it? Tyler Hilton gets the win once again. The Great Expectations team are living up to expectations, second consecutive win in a row. And I'll tell you what, Michael, that team is on a string right now.
Yeah, man, that's going to be a tough car to beat. I mean, we kind of all know its pedigree and where it's been, but boys are putting together some good, solid runs. I mean, all the way around through qualifying, it was good, solid runs from everybody. Just it's a tough car, and people are going to have to dig deep to get down there and compete with it. And I know the boys were giving it hell over there to get that done. And congratulations to them on another win.
And Brian, really in this Heritage Series deal, it's becoming a battle between the old guard versus the new guard. It's Hilton versus Murphy, second consecutive race in a row where they duke it out in the final round. Hilton gets the win. This is shaping up to be a great battle with Top Fuel Eliminator.
Yeah, Hilton didn't qualify number one for the first time since they got this car, which is kind of surprising. They haven't lost a single round since they got the car. And shout out to Jordan. I think Jordan might have a little bounty going on. I haven't really announced that yet, but I think he might have put up $500 towards a new battery pack for the first person that beats him in an elimination round. So that's pretty exciting. But yeah, they didn't qualify number one, which is surprising. It's pretty tricky up there. I think it kind of got all of us a little bit. Pretty tight in qualifying. I didn't do nothing. I was pretty weak all weekend, and it was good to see Murphy go to the finals. I'm looking forward to seeing them two battle it out on the points at the end of the year. Looks like I'm not going to be anywhere near the top. You just call me first round loser Brian. I think that'll be my new nickname.
Nah, we're not gonna do that, Brian. We're not gonna do that. But we actually have video of the final round between Murphy and Hilton. Let's take a look at that final round right now. Top end, Tyler Hilton gets the win, 573 with a 4 at 257 miles per hour to Jim Murphy's 582 at 232. And I forgot to upload the points, but right now, like I said, it's going to be a battle between Hilton and Murphy going down to the wire. Hilton now holds a 41-point lead over Murphy going into the Nitro Nationals in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And Michael, like we all know, Tulsa is shaping up to be a pretty big event.
Yeah, so I was talking with Bobby McClendon, earlier today about that, and it's going to be a big one. I mean, I'm hoping everybody that says they're coming is going to be there. I said I can probably say a few choice words if you don't show up. It could be a bad deal, but no, I think it's going to be a hell of a battle, and there's probably going to be quite a bit more cars there than previously, and we'll get out there and battle it out. I know one thing that probably a lot of people need to find out. I don't know if they've heard, but there will be an A and a B field there to race in. So, it's going to be 8-car qualifier. And then, whoever's left after that, they're going to go ahead and put together a little side race. So, you should, make it fun for all the guys that don't make it, don't qualify. So we need to get in there and let's have 8 and 8 or, however many we can get. I'd love to see another St. Louis situation where we bring in all the cars, kind of the last big gathering of folks that's not going to be able to make it to the Hot Rod Reunion, and get on down there to Tulsa, and we can all sweat together and get these cars tuned up.
Do you want to listen to that promo now of Tulsa? Want to play that?
Yeah, let's go ahead and throw it up there, man. It'll be a great time.
Gotcha.
Tulsa Raceway Park comes alive. Fire-rated 250-mile-an-hour nitro-burning dragsters, funny cars, jet cars, and more. It's the Nitro Nationals, presented by the All-American Fuel Dragsters in cooperation with the C104.5. Bring the whole family for 2 days and nights of side-by-side drag racing action, plus vendors, special DJ races, and more. The Nitro Nationals at Tulsa Raceway Park, Friday and Saturday, September 15th and 16th. Go to TulsaRacewayPark.com. Be there.
Well, that'll get you pumped up. Yeah.
I think we're supposed to have some video coming out for that too here before too long. They're working on it, but that's a good start, I guess.
Going back now to, obviously, like we said, Tyler Hilton and that whole Great Expectations team's what they're doing. Like you said, unbeaten with that new car, and Tyler Hilton, he's driving great, back-to-back wins. He's your points leader. But here's something interesting as well. In terms of the championship, I believe it's going to be Hilton and Murphy round 1 in the March Meet makeup out in Bakersfield.
Oh, that's right.
It is.
I forgot about that. Yeah.
So it's still going to be very interesting going right down to the wire. I like that.
Yeah, because Murphy qualified 8 and Hilton was 1. So that's going to be an interesting. That's the thing. That's the thing. That's what we got going on right here. This is what we got going on. Probably the most exciting end of a year situation. And, people were like, we should have ran. But really, in the end, whenever we go through all this, we get through Tulsa, what do you think it's going to be? I mean, it's got to be just crazy to think about what's going to happen. Everybody's going to be sitting there going, okay, what's going to, like, who's going to win it right here? This is going to be it. And then continue on. Because you think about this. Murphy takes him out first round. This is, points championship, indications, there's probably some other stuff that can happen, but also that's his first step to winning that 5th March meet. And you tell me if he doesn't take out the number one guy that he's already raced twice in finals, and they were both close. You take out, it kind of goes back to football, right? You lose. It's hard to beat them again, and it's definitely hard to beat them again kind of deal. That whole ordeal that goes on with that. But it's going to be one hell. And I got to say Hot Rod Reunion. I haven't worked that whole new name of it all into my deal. So, but I'm pumped up about it, man. I'm pumped up about it. What do you think about it, Brian?
Oh, yeah, it's going to be totally exciting. A lot of people are talking crap about us not running that race on Monday, which – you look at it two ways. There was nobody in the stands to watch us run the entire race, which would have been terrible. I've won a March meet on a Monday, and there was one person in the stands. There's not a whole lot of glory there, which, sometimes there isn't on a Sunday afternoon either. But, to run an entire event on a Monday would have been, kind of lame. So this makes it even that much more exciting, I think. I'm all for it. We got plenty of time to do it in qualifying. Unfortunately for me, I got Bowen first round, and he's been hauling ass, and I got to get my shit together between now and then to even have a chance to get past first round, let alone try to qualify for the show and then race the rest of the race. So it'll be definitely a test of all of our nerves, I think, coming up for the March meet remake at the Hot Rod Reunion or whatever they call it now.
Definitely 2 races in one. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Can't wait to see how it all plays out. But let's now move on to another driver who had a pretty decent weekend, and we got to give a shout out to Tyler Hester in the overtime special, your number 1 qualifier in Boise, with the great 581. Great to see those guys stepping up and be your pole sitters in Boise. Brian Hall.
Yeah, I actually had them pegged to win the race. I saw what they did last year, and I lost to them, I think, the second round last year? And, to a pretty close one. And, or no, that was when I had the big wheel stand. But, they were jamming last year. It seems like they're on track to start hauling ass. And they did it. They qualified number 1. Tyler can drive. The car works good. And it looks like maybe they had it hopped up a little bit. That's one of those cases, when the number 1 guy pulls up next to you, maybe you might make a little tune-up call to get too aggressive. And, that's some of the benefits of having the quick car. Sometimes guys will try to race you instead of the track. And I don't know if that's what happened, but he went out there and had a big hole shot lead. And from where I was sitting, it looked like it was over. And then, the big white cloud off the tires, and then he pedaled it and just legged it out, which is pretty exciting to see. And then it looked like he burned the entire rack out of it, which is, what we would all do in that case. You got the lead. And then you got to pedal it and just hoping that his car, pin pressure switch kicks off or anything. Just, you got to try to leg it out. And it was definitely exciting from the stands, as much as I didn't want to be there. But I'm a fan first. It was awesome to see.
Yeah, Tyler Hilton got around Phil Ruskowski in the first round with a 583. Like I said, qualified number 1 with a 581, went 583 at 214 in the second round, and then fell to Tyler Hilton, your eventual race winner in the second round, 630 at 189 to Tyler Hilton's 580 with a 6 at 253. Another guy I want to give a shout out to is your points leader for much of the year last season, Brett Williamson, qualified well this weekend, qualified second, picked up his first round win of the season. So, Michael, good to see those guys kind of getting it turned back around now.
Man, I'm just like, where did that come from? Like, it was like all of a sudden, and I probably need to back up a little bit. So what a lot of people need to know is, like, all of us guys, we're watching everybody's live feed. So dudes are watching it over here, and we're watching it over here. Like all this, there's so much, back and forth about what's going on with each race, and that's what's really cool about this deal. But Brett Williamson rolls out there, boom. I mean, we're back on track, like we haven't missed a lick, and we're right back to where we were last year. And then, I mean, it was badass to watch, and I'm glad that happened because we all love Mike Fuller, we all love Brett. We want them to be, out there being competitive. But it was really cool to see.
That's the one thing about that team is that's kind of what they do. Sometimes they'll just throw it down for a while, and then they have one mishap, and then they kind of miss a step here or there, and it all falls apart. And then boom, next thing you know, it's right back to where they left off. It's kind of crazy from being like a tuner and driver on my side. To see that happen, I'm like, man. Sometimes I lose myself, and I've been dealing with some issues for like an entire year. It takes me a while to get back to where I'm still not where I should be. Just little gremlins, and they always seem to find a way to, just get right back at it right at the right moment. So it's good to see those dudes jamming again.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Your finalists from the NightFire Nationals last year were your number 1 and 2 qualifiers this season. And just going back off Brett Williamson, like I said, points leader for much of the year last season, had that unfortunate, kind of let down in Bakersfield last year. So I was actually hoping to see them kind of come back and bounce back this year and put themselves back in title contention. Unfortunately, just had kind of a slow start. So looking like that's not going to happen, but great to see Brett Williamson and Mike Fuller, kind of getting back on track here at the NightFire Nationals. So Brian, we actually have onboard video of your first round matchup against Murphy. You want to take a look at that video right now?
Sure.
Let's do it. If I can find it.
Over. That shit's crazy. Was that Team Cole that said that?
I think Brian's frozen.
Uh-oh, he's definitely frozen. Well, at least he's smiling, not making a funny looking face. Man, dude, the quality of those videos is crazy, right? Yeah. I mean, it's unbelievable what those GoPros can do and what you can see. And it's just as much a tuning aid as a video, man. Like, whenever you pull all that stuff back up, you can start seeing if your holes are out and what it's doing. I mean, that's what all these guys do. I mean, plus it's just cool.
Yeah. And shout out to Kurt Borden for giving us those onboard videos right there. And he actually sent us a lot of great pictures as well. I want to play these with Brian Hall on, but it looks like he's frozen. So I'll wait to show those photos once he comes back.
That's some crazy stuff right there. I don't think we've ever had that happen, have we?
Somebody screenshot that for us. That's good.
Oh, there he goes. He's got it redone. But yeah, man, just some really cool. That's just good racing, good all around racing, and it's fun to watch these guys get out there and rip it. Hey, and I also got to give a little shout out too, man, to Phil Riskowski for making it to the race. I mean, he hauled that thing all the way back to the island, worked on it, put it all back together, and then got it to the race. He had the old T-Bone cowl on the car, man. He even said T-Bone on it. So, hats off to those guys for making that happen.
And last shout out I want to give to is our man, Sean Van Horn, qualified with a great 587. And I'll tell you what, one of the best looking cars out there. I mean, shout out to that team. Look, that's just a beautiful race car, isn't it?
Looks damn good.
Not if you ask Sean Van Horn. He thinks it's ugly.
Really? Does he?
Yeah. He says it's the best it can look, but he still calls it an ugly car.
Oh man, it's one of the best looking cars out there to me. Like the red, white, and blue, just everything that white with the A&W, Titan Engineering. I love that paint scheme. Real good looking.
It's not my style of car. It doesn't have the the look that I'm after. But I would be the first person to tell him that I think it looks great. I think when they put the Titan colors on it, it just looks really good. It looks a million times better than it ever had in the past, and I think they did a great job with it. And
absolutely.
To see them go out and run. And I think that was their first 5-second run. They're really their first successful, and they haven't been in this car very long. I know he's got a lot of confidence after last weekend. And I was in my car. I was strapped in. I hadn't even made the corner yet. So I saw him leave out of the corner of my eye and kind of heard, some cheering going on from the starting line. And my crew must have been just as excited as their crew. People were banging me in the back of the helm. My car was shaking around. I didn't even know what happened. I knew they were hauling ass. And I think Cole said he just ran an 87, which I was stoked for him. It's good to see those dudes finally, not finally, but, get the car down the track and make some steam. So that was awesome for them.
Definitely. Can you guys hear me okay? Connection's going in and out.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, you're a little fuzzy. Or it could be my old man glasses, one or the other.
Yeah. To be honest, I can't see anything. Any of the comments come on the bottom. I don't have my readers on either, and I'm on my phone this time. The text is way too small. It's just a big book.
I got you.
And another thing that was really great about that run that Van Horn made was it was super clean. Motor was good, didn't tear up anything. Went through there, man, just straight down the pipe rolling. And it's such a deal to get your car to do something like that, man. There's dudes that have been doing it decades, and they're they got their stuff kind of lined out. But the guys that are just coming in like me or whatever, and you're trying to work through these deals, it's like probably the most frustrating thing in the world. But then whenever finally like one time it happens, you're like, oh, it's like making a birdie for the first time, but you've had triple bogeys all day long. It's like, I'm back, I'm staying.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is, oh, you got it, Brian.
Well, my run with against Murphy, that was my cleanest run all weekend. I mean, regardless, it was kind of slow, and I mean, it's hard to say that it's it's really slow when I ran a 595. I ran in the fives every round. It was just kind of especially when there's somebody next to you, it's kind of gapping you a little bit. It just makes your car feel slow. And I think that's why I veered over to him. It's not too often you're side by side with another dragster. A lot of times they smoke the tires or they're either way out on you. And I saw him and thought like, oh, look at that. And I think I was just driving into him, like, oh, I better kind of steer back in my lane here. But no better dude to lose to than Jim Murphy, man. I like those guys a lot, but we wanted that round win. I know I didn't get to talk about that run at all, but me and Jim Murphy probably had the two worst lights side by side in Top Fuel history. My first round in qualifying against Hilton, I don't know what was going on, if I was anticipating the light, but I almost double stepped it, which I've never done in my life. And I was like 140 red, and the lights were coming down real slow last weekend. And I don't know what my deal was, but then, I only raced two people lined up against two people all weekend, which is sometimes how it works out. I had Hilton first round of qualifying and Jim the next two, and then Jim first round. So it was kind of like I really only saw two people all weekend. And my next qualifier, I go up against Jim, and he red lights by 150. And so we're at the top end, and I said, like, hey, man, does the light seem like it's coming down slow? Because I was really late the next time trying to figure this out. And he goes, yeah, I don't know. Because he left, and he was two car lengths out on me before I left. And he said, yeah, I don't know what's going on. By the time first round happened, I think we were both so gun shy that, I hole shotted them. That's what they said. But really, we were both just terrible. And we pulled around the top end, and he said, Ryan, you got me all messed up down there. And I thought, oh, no, I hold him up at the tree or something. Like, I'm thinking, God, I'm not trying to do anything weird, And he says, no, when you said the tree was slow, he said, I saw all the yellow. And I said, Jim, I saw green before I left. So I don't know what happened, but yeah, my guys were like, man, you must have had a 00 light or something. I said, no, I guarantee it was over 100 something. And it just felt terrible. And our lights were so bad. Like if I would have ran, if I had like a sub 50 light, I would have beat his 80 with a 95. And likewise, like he was 2 something, it was just bad deal. And normally I'm not like that. And I don't know if I was thinking about tuning the car or eating some of that ice cream, but I need to get my shit together, I think. As Pete Kaiser would say, I need to get my shit together.
I have the numbers right here. So Brian Hall, you were 156 to Jim Murphy's 2.207.
Yep.
There
That's
you
terrible.
go.
Yeah.
So question, and I just want to ask this because obviously Firebird Raceway has the LED tree with the LED pre-stage and stage lights, the blue LEDs. Is that an adjustment at all as opposed to the regular amber lights that you're used to staging with?
I kind of thought that may be the case. I don't know that I've ever ran on the blue LEDs before, and I don't remember them having them last year. I'm never really super focused on the top lights, so I can't tell you that I've ever. I don't know if they got them in Tulsa. I can't even remember, but it felt like something was happening. I mean, it felt like the tree was just taking forever to come down, and I don't know if it's because I got tune-up stuff on my mind or whatever. But Jim felt it too, and sometimes they do that. They'll start the tree's not automatically coming down at 1 second after everybody's stage. They vary, so maybe they're just keeping us on our toes. I have no idea, but we definitely had our hands full with all kinds of other things, so I could have just been distracted. I don't know.
Gotcha. Michael or Brian, any final thoughts on Boise before we move on? Any other driver you want to give a shout out to, or anything you want to comment on?
Well, we got to talk about Jim a little bit here, man. I mean, Murphy is just on fire himself. He's killing it out there. He's killing it out there. Those guys are working their ass off. To be able to be where he's at in this points deal and be where 2 final rounds already in the deal and qualified for the March meet. I mean, he's definitely one to be watching. Right there along with Hilton on this deal. And I'll never talk enough about how much the guys talk to me about racing and the advice that he's given me. If you have a racing hero, that he's my racing hero. And to be out there doing what he's doing is killer. And I hope he keeps doing it all the way. Another 10 years, man. It'd be awesome. But it's great to see him and Daniel and that whole crew out there still kicking ass.
Yeah, they don't really look like they're slowing down anytime soon. I'm hoping to be even able to go to the racetrack, let alone drive a race car. And I think Jim's damn near twice my age. And I'm starting to get wore out already. I can't even imagine being able to do it. He must have taken care of himself his whole life, and he's in good shape. And this is no joke, man. It's a lot of work. I was just taking a nap right before I got in here because I was barely recovering from driving home and all this stuff. And I guarantee they're out in the shop making parts right now, while I'm taking a nap on the couch. I want to give a little shout out to Adam. He had that he got that Taylor gift card first round. And I haven't posted it yet because they split before I got to get out and give them the gift card. We got that Taylor Motorsports gift card for the best reaction time in first round, which we've been doing. And actually gave one to Sean Van Horn. Actually got one this weekend left over from the Bandemere race. So I'm going to have my hands full with Adam and now Sean too, cutting down the tree. So that's pretty exciting. I do want to say that I wish we could get a way to get everybody pitted closer together. This year at Boise, I got pitted up top, which was great. A great spot. We were I was next door to Jim Murphy, in between Murphy and Sean Van Horn, which is fun. I like drag race. It isn't all on the track and all work. We have a little social life going on afterwards. I like to be able to talk. And Adam came up from down at the bottom, and I saw Phil a little bit. But when we're all pitted together, it's almost it's like a whole different feeling. I didn't even see Mike Fuller at all. I saw Bobby McLennan one time, and even in the staging lanes, because I'm running Murphy the way that it's not like we're side by side and sitting in the staging lanes forever. We're they kind of got it going on there. You get down there, you got a minute or two, and you're getting strapped in the car. So I'd like to see if maybe we can get them to either put us all down in one spot or all up top. I know it's weird because all our rigs are different. Mine's damn 75 feet long, so it makes it kind of difficult. And I'm the last one to show up. I think I was the last one to show up. Murphy came rolling in at the last second too, because we didn't even run until Friday. But yeah, it's like a whole different feeling when you're at the track and everybody's pitted in 2 rows. Like when we were in Tulsa last year, it was great. Because you bounce around everybody's car, and whether you guys want to believe it or not, we all actually like each other and like talking to each other. So I kind of missed some of that. Hilton was halfway down the row. Next to McGee, and then the rest of the guys are at the bottom of the hill, which you think you'd be able to walk down there and talk to those guys, but when you're up to your elbows and blowers and gear oil, it's not easy to get out and, chat with everybody. And that's kind of what this is all about for me, is some of the, not necessarily partying, but, after it winds down, all the fans leave, we can kind of, recap the day with each other and see what's going on. Everybody helps each other out too. McGee was willing to give me the blower off his car, manifold, hat to manifold. Of course, I refused it, but I probably should have taken him up on that offer.
We have some pretty cool comments, like I said, before we move on. Kurt Borden says, Murphy is so close. At Boise, he almost screamed in my face and wanting to beat Hilton. Totally understandable. I'll tell you what, this is starting to become a really big rivalry for that championship. It's getting exciting. I like that. And Sean Van Horn says, and you could probably, elaborate on this, Brian. He said, left lane sucked in E2. Bit fuller too.
See, I don't think that had anything to do with me, but yeah, the left lane looked like about, I don't know, 300 feet out. It seemed to be a little bit of tire smoke out of a couple cars. I'm not really sure what was going on. I was far and out of the race by then, so I wasn't paying attention to no track temperatures or anything like that. But first round of qualifying, I've already apologized to Murphy about this, but we had a little mishap with we have a puke tank in the back of the car, and we sometimes clean it out with solvent to kind of loosen up some of the oil. And a lot of people were asking what this was. I know Hilton was asking around what was on the track, but it didn't get all the way cleaned out. When I stepped on the gas, it probably threw a few quarts of solvent, regular old parts cleaning solvent, straight on the track. Of course, I made the run okay. It was behind me, but it got Murphy a little bit. He got crossed up. I went over and apologized to him, and it looked like they got it squared away after that. After that one, Murphy, got real sideways and damn near crashed his car, and we just got to be, cross our T's and dot our I's a little better. And, I felt really terrible about that. But the new family got it straightened out, and hopefully that didn't have anything to do with the rest of the weekend in that left lane. I feel really bad about that.
Well, I think that left lane got Day too in the first round, right? He was running Haran, even with the big tire. I think he went up in smoke, first round. So
yeah, that was a 300 passes in between when I did it and when that happened. And I think would I go down the left lane one more time since then? I might have been in the right lane every other time. I don't remember, but yeah, it looked like a few cars struggled right there, and maybe Hilt or McGee didn't crank it up as much as I thought. But when I saw that piston smoke come out, I thought, oh, they had it hopped up for sure.
Oh, it was. Yeah, I guarantee it was.
Well, I can tell you this: I could not turn any more screws on my car. I had every screw turned that you could turn. Michael knows what this is about. We did it in what was that, St. Louis a couple years ago with his car. I'm out of screws to turn. I got first round of qualifying. I put a post out. I don't know if you guys want to hear about all this, but first round of on our way there, we knew that with our new fuel pump, it was going to be way too rich in Boise. I could tell you that from last year's experience. I had 100% in it, 51 degrees when I got there, 52 degrees, and I never put an ounce of alcohol in my car all week. And that was last year. And now my old pump was about 2 gallons low. So I thought I'll order some, higher compression pistons. Those didn't make it. So then we were like, well, now what? And put some 40,000 head gaskets on it. On the right side of the motor always runs a little richer, so I always run a thinner head gasket on that side. And it caught every exhaust valve on that first run. So it didn't actually burn any pistons. What it did is it broke the piston. So it broke the exhaust side of the piston off. And that's what the death smoke was for my first qualifier. It was my best run all weekend. But we couldn't, eat up a head every round. So decided to opt to the next plan, which was put the regular head gaskets back on it and, try to put a better blower on. That was a disaster. I mean, the very end, we ended up just putting a main jet on it for first round and try to make the pump as close to as it was last year, which, I was on track for a 70 flat there last year. I went 209 at half track, I think 381 or 382 at 209. So I thought, man, if we could just make the fuel pump the same, we'll be right there. Well, I chickened out and put a 70 thousandths main. It should have probably had like a 150 in it. And then Murphy kicked my ass, and that's how that goes sometimes. fun to see them winning rounds. I'd sure like to beat him one of these times. You look up to a dude like that, and I mean, I have his old combo in my car. That's the motor out of his old, the car before he has now. Same bore, same stroke. I think some of the pistons are actually the pistons I bought from him. So I know he don't want me to beat him with his old combo, but there's been times he said, "I guess my old combo works pretty good, huh?" When I out qualify him or something like that. But
well, he ain't done nothing but whoop my ass too, so I ain't got nothing to say about
it. We had that tire pressure issue too, which I've been fighting that, which is so dumb for a year and a half. It's something so small, and your tire pressure gauge, you pick it up and it reads 2 pounds. It's not even on a tire. It should tell you that there's something wrong with it. But I've been trying to run 7 pounds on my rear tires for all last year, which makes for great pictures. I've been wheeling pretty hard and, feathering the throttle, looking like I really know how to drive. But, I'm really just trying to survive by the skin of my teeth. And, I pumped the tires up 2 more pounds, and it was like a whole different car. It was like a Cadillac. I just stepped on the gas, didn't have to do anything, just barely turned the wheel. And I'm pretty happy to have that behind us. And now I could, focus on the next issue at hand, whatever that may be.
So, Brian, can we see you guys in Tulsa, or the next time we'll see you guys is in Bakersfield for the March Meet Makeup and the finals?
You might see me in Tulsa, but I won't be in that race car.
Gotcha.
Roxy and John decided that maybe the fuel bill from last year that we presented them when we got back that they pay for was a little bit too much. I think Michael might have me go with him and maybe help oversee what's going on over there. I would love to take my car back to Tulsa and, have another shot at that bump. Me and that bump have an issue, and I want my blower belt to survive over the top of it. Last year I was so close to having it, me and Adam's race, and I've been getting some pretty bad beats lately, and I think I'm owed a few. And I'd like to go back and give it another shot, but this is not in the cards for me. I'll gotta maybe order some pistons and change a few things, get that blower shop blower working on that deal. So I'm hoping to have maybe that done for the reunion, and then I'll be lost again once I got that new blower on the car. So should be fun.
I got you. But in the end, Tyler Hilton gets the win. He wins the 52nd edition of the NightFire Nationals, second win of the season, second win in a row. And I'll tell you what, that team was on the string. He is your points leader. And I actually talked to Hilton maybe an hour before the show for the recap for Competition Plus. And he said, hey, this is one I've been wanting to win for such a long time. The prestige that's around it. And let's not forget, this is the first race that Hilton actually ever traveled to race in Top Fuel Dragster. So this one means a lot to him. So he was able to finally pull it off and get the win. Shows congratulations to Tyler Hilton, Bobby Hilton, and that whole Great Expectations team for getting a win. They are definitely living up to expectations. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to break down all the action from the Northern Nationals. We'll be right back.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Welcome back to the Kings of the Sport podcast, episode number 17. Darren Williams Jr., along with the West Texas hustler Michael Anderson and Brian Hall. And, well, Michael, we got a pretty cool comment right here. Top field driver Buddy Hall says, Michael Anderson for president. How about that?
That dude, man, he's crazy. I need to get hooked up with him one day. Me and him go have some beers or something like that. He's always on here checking it out. I know he keeps up with our racing pretty regular, and probably a big fan and probably gonna be a part of it one of these days. So yeah, he's a cool dude, and I'm looking forward to him really starting to whoop some ass, man. I think they're looking good. Car's looking a whole lot better, and I know that they're looking to whoop some ass out there in that big show.
No, for sure. I was at the final Mile High Nationals a couple weeks ago, and I'll tell you what, ran really good in qualifying. Kept them honest in first round eliminations. Definitely good things are on the horizon for Buddy Hall. Actually, got a comment here from Ryan Horan too. Ryan Horan qualified in Nitro Funny Car at the NightFire Nationals. Actually beat James Day in the first round. Remember, James Day was your number one qualifier with that amazing 5:59 in qualifying. Ryan Horan went up there and beat him in the first round. He says they felt a little slow for me as well. But shout out to Ryan Horan. I know that team had some troubles actually getting to the racetrack, right? There had a problem with their hauler.
Yeah, I think Dan was driving the rig, and I don't know if he lost a tire or the whole wheel or whatever, but I didn't actually see the pictures. I just kind of overheard. We were, traveling also, and I guess he was 500 feet out in the desert.
Oh, wow.
Got out and lost the tire and went across the road, maybe overcorrected, came back the other side. I don't know what happened, but I talked to Pete Kaiser and made sure it was like, hey, everybody okay? Because the trailer was there, but the truck wasn't. And I thought, man, these are some diehard dudes. They must have borrowed a truck and pulled their rig in, and we're racing out of it. And I'm like, where's the truck? And they said, oh, it's at the Freightliner dealer. It's not too bad. They're checking on the frame, make sure it's straight, just changing a couple steering components. I thought, man, that's pretty hardcore stuff right there. I don't know if I crashed my rig, if I'd be, probably call it a day and just, turn around and go home.
No, I saw the pictures, man. It looked bad. I think he lost a steer tire, and it jerked him all over the place. But yeah, they did. I think they did a little interview, beforehand or before the race, where it kind of talked about what happened. But yeah, that's scary. That's scary stuff right there. That everything behind you, pushing you along with the truck that you're in, and then drive off into the damn desert. There ain't nothing good going to come out of that.
Yeah, Sean Van Horn was about a quarter inch away from him. That happened too. He changed the front left wheel on his rig. And I was over there when they jacked it over the bottle jack, and the lug nuts had started pulling through the wheel and oblonged every hole. I mean, this is a 22.5 or 24-inch, big rig wheel. This is a heavy piece, and he found one in town for $150 and put it on right there in the pits. It's pretty crazy. But when he jacked the truck up, the wheel, looked like it had a kingpin that was about a quarter inch in diameter, but it was really just the wheel super loose on the studs. And I thought, man, and he knew about this before he left. And I can't even believe he drove it that far. And I'm not no truck driver, and I get kind of stressed out running my rig. But if I'd have known that was on the front left of my rig, I don't know that I would have not left the driveway.
Got to make it to the races no matter what.
If it's not the race car, it's the rig, I swear. It's always something. We lost a couple brakes on our rig on the way down, out in Jordan Valley. Broke the brake caliper clean off the trailer, and there's some pretty big grades out there, and we pulled over to let Frank go take a leak in the trailer. Luckily we did, because we go back out there and like, your brakes are smoking pretty bad. I think they're on fire. And we went out there and the brake caliper was just rattling around the wheel, just about ate a hole in it. So I don't know how long it had been like that, but it'd been a few hundred miles for sure.
Brakes are overrated anyway. They're overrated.
You think drag racing is dangerous? Just getting to the racetrack is dangerous as well, man.
Oh, yeah, absolute 110%. There is no doubt that it is.
I feel like we're just a bunch of carnies rolling down the road. It's like this whole traveling circus of idiots and clowns. Just driving around out in the middle of the desert, like crashing rigs and tires flying off, and it's like an act of God sometimes just to get to the racetrack. Like, some of these people don't know what it takes. $800 at the truck stop. You're eating hot dog roller food only, and just barely sleeping, switching drivers while still rolling down the road. It could be very interesting, but we do what we got to do to get there for sure.
I got you.
I mean, I'm driving a 75-foot rig with air brakes. It's probably 65,000-pound rig. I don't even have Class A license. I'm just winging it. I was so happy to see coming down that hill into Boise. that the scales were closed this year. I think Van Horn can appreciate that too. We got pulled over on the way coming down a couple years ago, and luckily we brought 2 cars with us, and my car runner behind me in a real big rig, and he actually has a license. And they pulled him over, and I hightailed it out of there, and they said, yeah, that other guy needs to pull in next time too. And we waited till they actually closed the scales to leave on Monday. So, I'm liable to get arrested here pretty soon. So if you don't see me at a track, I was on my way, I'm probably in jail.
Hey, Bobby McClendon, get the bail money ready, man. Get the bail money ready.
Get it out of the AAFD fund or whatever. Yeah.
Well, let's move now from the foothills of Boise, Idaho to the Irish Hills of Martin, Michigan, the Northern Nationals. And Michael Anderson, Jimmy Young gets it done once again. He won Denver, lost a close race in the semifinals to Sean Bowen 2 weeks ago in Norwalk, Ohio, but comes back and Martin, Michigan wins the race again. He won this race last year. So, and low ET top speed in the final round, Jimmy Young took it all out in Martin, Michigan.
Yeah. So, going into that race, I guess we could back up a little bit. I'm sure you're going to want to go through that, but not to knock Bowen any on his deal, because he was rocket ship there at Martin, Michigan too. He had a little misfortune in the semis, against Julius Hughes, which Julius Hughes is running a bracket car right now. I mean, if he's running 594, 595, 596, you would pick any of the 3. But going into that final round, whenever the team had got there to the track, even prior to talking about it, they were wanting to set a record, and the goal was to run a 558. In whichever final deal that they were going to end up going, and they ran a 560. And he said he thinks he might have clicked it a little early, kind of going back and looking at the video or on his data, but the 560 run was unreal. It just, it's dark, it's out there, it's ripping down the track, it's huge header flames. Julius is out there. He's got like the front row seat to one of the baddest passes that's happened this year. And so, I mean, hats off to that team for kicking ass. A lot of people don't know they were battling a whole big old ordeal with some oil leaks and some head gasket issues the whole weekend. Finally got it all worked out, by the time it started eliminations on Saturday. So yeah, killer team, killer run, killer win, man. Congratulations to him on that and winning the points championship.
Let's now take a look at that final round now between Jim Young and Julius Hughes.
Jim Young, left side, had the lane choice as he went quicker in the semifinal round. Went a 569. Hughes, a 596.
So everyone back in the lane of speed. This is Julius Hughes. There on the right side. Alaska Holloway gave me a whole bio on Julius. He's back all the way to 1970. Well, Julius falls behind Jim Young to the top of the racetrack at 5.604. That's a good run. 254 miles an hour, 621.75 for Julius. He encountered some issues past the half track mark. So Jim Young, the Salem, Wisconsin team, is your winner here tonight in Extreme Top Fuel.
Wow. Header flames all the way to.
Uh-oh.
Whoa.
That wasn't me. Okay, there we go.
As I was saying, header flames all the way to the finish line. Beautiful run from Jimmy Young. Like you said, takes it all in the final round. Low AT, top speed, 560. Won at a 550, but still, what an amazing run, and wins the points championship. And Jimmy Young is the man.
Yeah, man, it's a solid running car. I think we all know that. I mean, the guy's been around forever. It just rips. But everybody that was there at that race, every car that was there, a lot of guys, that ran, set some kind of personal record or did something, that they had never done before. And it's a great place to race. That's a killer picture right there, man. And that's something that I'll keep harping on, that we need to keep going on, because that's every race team that was at that race and their crew sitting there behind the guy that won. And super badass for everybody to do that, and love to see it happening.
Also, I'll tell you what. So after they ran the top field final, they had a match race between Joey Haas and Jim Morban, and I see both cars. I mean, that is the highest header flame I've ever seen from the front motor top field manufacturer. And how cool is it when Dave Belock on the burnout has those cool header flames during the actual burnout? It's awesome, right? This looks cool at night.
So Jim Morban goes, I think I might have trimmed the pump a little too much, because they wasn't expecting to do that. It was just, the car was running a little lean, but like whenever he ripped off that to do his burnout, like everybody kind of stood back like, holy cow, what the hell is going on out here? So yeah, it was cool to see those dudes out there. And man, they put on a great show. I mean, they put on a great show. Joey Haas, running that Mill Road Boys, Steve McLean's ride. Great looking car. Both of them big block Chevrolet cars, man. Just two dump truck motors going at it. Haas actually ran a 386 to the 660 at like 202 miles an hour. So I mean, he was on a pass on that deal. But out there, you can go see it on. I've got a reel out there on the Extreme Top Fuel page. In slow mo. I think I sent it to you, but it's ripping on the internet deal right now, as far because it just. I mean, it's like you said, it's the biggest flames you can see. Like, it's just crazy to see it all happening, especially in slow motion.
Is Joey Haas's car, is that Heritage legal?
The yellow car or which car? Yeah.
Car.
Yeah. It's Heritage. Yeah. They've raced it he's been around a long time, man. That car's been around a long time. Jimmy used to race it at the Heritage races of probably, I think, let's see, like 2012, 13, somewhere right around there. Maybe a little earlier, but yeah, it's definitely been around a long time. Super clean car, man. They take care of their stuff, tremendous. But hats off to Dave Block and the Time Bandit team, Jim Morban, man. They ran their career best, like 651, I think, at like 217 miles an hour in an iron block, big M block, big block Chevrolet. Didn't hurt a part. Went out there, 6 foot flames kicking out of this thing, dude. It's just crazy to watch.
And he actually warmed up his car for the first time out in Martin, correct?
So the story of this goes back to the whole other deal, right? Remember the story he told about running the car off into the cornfield and all that? Yeah. Well, he had never been in a car since then. He'd never been in his own car like this behind a supercharger, and not even on alcohol, and not in the deal. So Dave comes over and he's talking to me about another deal that he wants to do. And I was like, has he been in the car, just fired it up? And he goes, I don't think so. And I'm like, man, we got to go talk to him about this. I was like, yeah, get in the car first. I was like, you remember the first time you got in the car? Like, you got just sitting in the car firing it up is a whole nother deal, much less driving the son of a gun down the track. So go over there, and Jim's a wound up dude, and he's got all this stuff going on. And I just nonchalantly go, hey man, have you ever been in this car whenever it fired up? Like, he looks at me and goes, I'm always out here doing this. I was like, oh no, you're getting in the car today. Today is your day, man. Like, I'm not getting in the car. I was like, no, you're getting in the car. And I start yelling for Dave, putting on a big old show about shit, and Dave comes over. We're back and forth. And Dave's like, you're getting in the car. So he's like, I'm getting in the car, but Jimmy's on the butterflies. You know how he is, all hands flailing everywhere. So, man, it was cool. Like, I mean, you could just, he's like this, he's just in there, and he gets in there, and, Jimmy goes and puts on that, Time Bandit tank top that he wears all the time, and does the whole hands and flips it, right? And flips it twice, and he gives him a thumbs up, and then all of a sudden you see Orban like pull the brake again, and he does it with his foot twice. Wop, wop. There's people in the background. Woo! It was cool. 25 years, and he had never sat in that car like that.
Well, Michael, we got the video.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
and his eyeballs were about that big, dude. In there, I mean, he was wow. I've got another one, where I, got him talking and about what all went on there, and then Les did a really good interview with him, to talk about his experience and what's going on. But super cool to see these guys, man. Like, to be out there and do that. I mean, you need to experience that stuff. Us guys need to make that stuff kind of happen for these guys if it hasn't happened. So I love those dudes. They're like Orban's on it. Orban is on it. I hope he comes to Tulsa. I feel like he's going to.
And so we all know Michael was tuned in heavily to what was going on in Boise. Brian, did you have a chance at all to kind of tune in and what was going on in Martin, Michigan?
Yeah, I think there was so many fans at Boise that they, they bunged up the bandwidth a little bit. I couldn't get anything to happen. I couldn't go live until Sunday. My phone wouldn't refresh. I don't know what was going on. I was in the Bermuda Triangle of internet reception or something, but I would text Michael occasionally and ask him how he did. And, texts were going through, but, I got a bunch of pictures on Sunday that came through all at once. So, I was trying to keep up. We had a little bit of time difference for us, so they would run in between ours. And, some of the guys on the team would give me updates because I think some of the phones were working depending on which, brand you have. But I didn't get to really see. I saw Jimmy run that 60 in the final, which is gnarly. And then, I got to talk with Michael, and he looks like he was starting to be on the right track to haul ass too, which was pretty exciting. But I just want to get an event where we can all race together, and there's 20 top fuel cars running at the same time, two different places. Kind of a shame that weren't all at the same place. I just wish there was one event where we could all, figure it out and all just get together at one spot and maybe do an all-run field with, 24, 30 cars or something would be, I don't use that word very often, but it'd be pretty epic if that could happen. And it's like pulling teeth to try to get, herding cats to get everybody together. But there was just one event that was, the thing that everybody wanted to do. It'd be great. If I don't see it foresee it happening in the near future, but maybe if Michael get that Indy deal worked out, everybody would travel out there to do that.
We might freak them out if we show up with 30 cars in Indy.
Well, obviously we don't want to do that. I think we'd get kicked out
we could.
But, if there was somewhere that was, wasn't a million miles for everybody to drive, but, there was cars coming from all over the place. It's going to be a tall order to make that happen, but I sure would like to see it happen before they outlaw nitromethane.
That's it, man. No, going along with the kind of the rest of the deal right there, whenever we were doing all that warm up, that was another one of the deals too, where, it was, Thunder in the Pits deal. And I'm going to tell you right now that the fans freaking love that. They are all about pulling the cars out, firing them up in order. They love moving down through there. There's no issues. Everybody hundreds of people moving down there. It's super cool to watch, man. I mean, it's definitely something that I'm sure that we'll get coordinated at Tulsa, but I feel like that we probably all need to do that at Bakersfield whenever that goes on. I've never seen it. I don't know if y'all have ever done it before I showed up, but that's pretty tight quarters at Bakersfield, and it would make for one hell of a situation to have everybody moving up and down it.
One of these times we got to fire them all up at the same time and just, put ourselves on the radar somewhere, if there's 20 or get the funny car guys involved too. Imagine if, all 35, 40 fuel cars on the property all fired up at the same time. You might be able to see it from space,
That's it. Goddamn. Y'all want a cackle fest with everybody fired up at once? We got it right here for you right now.
They do that at the Nitro Revival with all them cars on the track. It's pretty cool. And they kind of go down the line. And I think the first time that ever happened was at Bandamere this year. And I was there for that, and I saw the excitement in the fans' eyes, and I thought, man, what a cool idea. I don't know if you could make that happen in Bakersfield because everybody's so serious, and it's less of a show. Not everybody's on board with trying to fire their cars up. They have a specific time frame they like to do things, but man, it sure makes it cool. I like it. I'm on board 100%.
Well, I got a little surprise for you guys because this man was in Martin, Michigan this past weekend. And if you ever watched my national event recap show Inside the NHRA, he's one of the co-hosts on there. And he actually met Michael this past weekend in Martin, Michigan. I want to bring him on right here. Mr. Dave W. He was out at Martin, Michigan. How's it going, Dave?
It's going good. How are you?
Oh, good, man. Making your first appearance in Kings of the Sport. Just want to get you on here real quick to kind of talk about your experience out in Martin, Michigan, because you're from the area and what you thought about it and what you thought about meeting my man up here, Michael Anderson.
Oh, I thought it was great. Yeah, Michael's a great guy. He's just as funny in person as he is on the show. So never be afraid to walk up and talk to him in his pit area. Yeah, it was a great show. Nice turnout of people and very enthusiastic crowd. And we were glad to see the Extreme Top Fuel category make the trip up there. A lot of cars came from a long way, and they put on an awesome show.
For sure, for sure. And Michael, we actually have the video of this 621 run. You want to take a look at that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Who was that came flying by you right there?
That was his his 650 run, man. He was one shooting it. No, man. So super. That was actually Q3 on Saturday afternoon, and I Q2 I didn't make a full pass, so it's the average of 2 at the Extreme Top Fuel deal. So I'd already ran a 621 in Q1, and so we had to get everything ready, blah, 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 that morning. I mean, we put the whole car together and actually had to step away from the car because you got to start concentrating on like what you're doing. Like, okay, I got to actually drive this car. Like, I need to step away from the car. And you know that shit, Brian, because I need to step away. Well, I think everybody wants me to step away. But, so, kind of step away from the car a little bit, because this is like the first time I've really had to, like race into the race, like really race into it. And, just got there and, man, it made a good run. I like to be nervous because, nervousness makes you a little bit more, keen to what's going on. And got up there and made a good solid pass. And I'm pretty sure somebody recorded me down there. I think I was yelling about something, batshit crazy that went on. And I think James about fell out of the truck when we pulled up there. It was good stuff. And I mean, but that's what racing's about. And then, what was really cool was like the other guys coming over. Hey man, that was a great run. And, you got in and this, that, and the other. And like, all the hard work that you put in to get just to that point is almost a win in itself. And if you got to actually race into the race, it's a whole different deal, man. That pressure is what makes you want to do this stuff. And it was cool, man. That track is just unreal. Like, unreal smooth. You watch a car go down the track and it's just, you're just driving along like you're on the best highway in the world right there, man. It was badass.
I mean, there's a whole different feel on race day, isn't there, Michael?
Absolutely.
And you're kind of picking away at some things. You're kind of almost in test mode, it feels like, and you're doing some things. And then as soon as first round starts coming up, I can't eat breakfast. I can't. I'm just a nervous wreck when it comes to first round because I know as soon as you lose, you got to go home, and nobody wants to go home. Go back to reality after hanging out with your friends all weekend and not leaving the track. It's like you're in a whole nother world. But when race day happens, it's like a whole different feeling. It's like it's go time. You'll service the car and do as much as you can and not even be tired for some reason. But you sure feel it when it's all over.
I know I did, boy. Whenever it was all over too.
Oh yeah.
Right. I just walked away from it all. Like I walked over to the cooler, got a Coors Light, didn't even talk to anybody. This has been 2 weeks of just, if you go all the way back, probably like close to a month of just solid ass work, to get there. And it was solid work whenever we got from Norwalk to there because we didn't go home. we stayed there, worked on the car, which was a great thing. I got to give a shout out to my guy, James Harrell, man. That dude's hardcore as I am, man. He was there the whole time, 12 hours a day wrenching on that car. Dude kicks ass for sure. But yeah, man, we ripped it out. It's great track, man. Great track, great people. Everybody that came by there, it was cool talking to them. I was telling Darren, I was like, I had people walking up talking about the show and stuff, and I was like, I can't even believe like people watch the show like that. That's I mean, it still weirds me out whenever they're like, oh, I'll watch you on your show and stuff. I'm like, no shit, really. Cool atmosphere all the way around. I think I even told him that. I was like, it's crazy, man, to think that a boy from South Texas is all the way up in Martin, Michigan, talking about what's going on in drag racing and in the world in general. But I can't even tell you how many people were like, where are you from now? I got asked that question about 10,000 times.
Definitely not from around here, that's for sure.
So that 621 gets you on the show from the highs of highs. And then Bowen mentioned in the comments earlier, we go to first round Saturday afternoon. Let's take a look at that video right now because that was crazy. Did some driving at the top end. Let's take a look at that video right now.
Sean Bowen, if he turns it green and gets that car A to B, there should be a win light left side. And the race is over right at the starting line, and a whole lot of smoke coming out of Michael Anderson down there. Oh boy, Sean Bowen, no shoots to the top into the racetrack, and he is going to probably see the sand pit. Sean Bowen goes 573 at 250 miles an hour and had no parachutes. So he got on the brakes pretty hard, tried to get that thing slowed down as much as he possibly could. And nosed that thing into the sand trap at the very end of the racetrack.
Sean Bowen, I didn't know that there was beaches in Michigan, but he went into one, and Michael Anderson all over you, man. Tell us about that run right there.
If you want to know what a 985 60-foot car to a 117 60-foot car is, that's what it looks like right there. That car just rips out of the hole. But, yeah, man, we took off, and, he's ripping down the track, and we actually made a little bit of stride in some of the tune-up right there. And about the 8th mile, we had a little incident with a fuel or an oil filter. But, anyways, I got covered up in oil. And I mean, like, you remember how Van Horn's deal was? That's how my deal was. And I'm all about can't see nothing. I think I was running like about 205 whenever that happened. And, kind of gave the one finger wipe. Brendan Murray gave me that little old tip whenever that happens. And whenever I did that, no more oil was coming. So I was like, maybe, it's over. And about the time I flipped my visor, all I saw was Bowen chutes coming over my car. And I thought I was in the back of them. So then I'm hammering on the brake, man, because that's like one of the worst things ever is just to know that you're about to run your car right in the back of somebody because these cars are skinny in the front and there's a lot of room back there to drive into somebody's stuff. So I'm just ripping on the brake, man. Like you can see that car, like all of a sudden it just starts really just hammering it. It's still covered in oil, and so anyways, I kind of get my bearings. I'm like, hell, I'm still in my lane. Okay, I don't see him up there. And then all of a sudden, I look up there and, he's up there in the beach and I look over, my car's on fire. So I got to jump out of the damn car. And I'm trying to put the fire out. I kind of made it bad. You see me pointing like this, like, hey man, let's get some fire extinguisher on this bitch. I mean, cause it wasn't as bad that I needed to pull my fire extinguishers and waste that. So that's good. He run over there, but it was pretty intense, but that's fuel car racing, man. And I'm over there doing whatever. They've already, by the time I'm still on the track, they got Bowen's car out of the sand trap. He's coming by, he's waving at me. I'm like, you good? Yeah, you good? Yeah. And they come over there and so he starts unwrapping the parachutes, right? We started unwrapping the parachutes and there's a chunk of his frame about that big with the parachute still attached to it. Sitting inside all of our parachutes. And so anyways, No big deal to them. They build race cars. They get that piece back, weld it all up. They make the run in the semis, man. Like roll back up there like nothing happened. And I was just like, this is crazy fuel car racing. That front motor. The PDRA guys and the local track guys, whenever that all happened, were like, y'all could possibly be the craziest sons of bitches we've ever seen. Like literally, that's what the guy told me. I'm over there. My hands are like this, right? Like my eyeballs are still a little bit bugged out of my head. He's like, look at this picture. This is what you look like going through the 8th mile. I'm like, dude, all right, I got you. Send it to me, man. So, yeah. It was crazy. But, walked over there, BS with Bowen, checked on him. He's like, you good? Yeah, man. It's just another day out here on the track. So, I'd race him again tomorrow if we needed to. Got my ass kicked twice by him.
Well, yeah, what was up with that? The announcer was just like, "Oh, if Bowen makes it A to B, he should win this race." He didn't even give you a chance. The announcer already was predicting it before it even happened. What's up with that?
I'm gonna tell you right now, Ray Charles from the moon could see that ass whooping coming right there. Yeah. Because it happened the week before too. So yeah, man. It's fun. But that's the stuff that keeps you going, right? Like I need to let's fix this part. Let's fix this part because all these guys have been in the same boat. They didn't just come out of their mama running 560s. It's a whole process to this deal, and I got to remind myself pretty regular. I'm still pretty new to this. I'm an impatient individual, but I'm still pretty new to it.
Brian, what you think about that whole ordeal in the first round between Anderson and Bowen?
I mean, I've been through some gnarly stuff, but not like that. That's a whole different deal. Michael's getting a firsthand taste of what it's like to run in a top fuel dragster, and it's not for the faint at heart, that's for sure.
Yeah, it's good, man. I mean, it doesn't like. A lot of people, they get all wigged out. They were coming over and telling me, it's all this. I was like, dude, this is just racing. It's just racing, and we know what it is. And when we get in this car, we know exactly what can go on because there's 50 million Les Mayhew videos that can show you everything that can possibly go on out there. And I've watched all of them. So,
those Les Mayhew videos are real accurate. I never had a big fire like I did in October. I watched plenty of them on those videos, and man, it was when I was on fire, I was thinking, this is exactly how it looks on camera. It's just hotter. We could get a little bit of smudging, a little bit of heat coming out of the phone or screen. It would be damn near identical. I don't know if I was having an out of body experience, but it felt like I was watching it, way out here, like a little orange screen. Until I heard the tires start screeching, I knew I was stopped. Then I jumped out, and my perspective changed. But man, they're pretty accurate. Even some of the night runs with the big header flames, and people are always asking me what it's like to drive one, and I show them some of the onboard videos. I go, man, it's really close to that. With everything shaking real bad, and your vision's blurry, just like the camera, and it's pretty close to a real experience. Definitely help you in a sticky situation. You ever race motocross or you ever did any stuff like that, is definitely helpful because you got to be on your toes. You never know what's going to come flying off your car and hit you in the face, or somebody's got crossed up in the lights and comes into your lane. You got to be ready for anything, man. It's definitely a tricky sport.
And for people who don't know, Dave W actually races himself. Have you ever had any crazy experiences like that, Dave, on the racetrack?
Probably the only thing that I ever had racing a door car, you don't really see that a whole lot. We were at the Nostalgia Drags at US 41 one year, and I believe there was either a Nostalgia Top Fuel or a funny car that went down in front of me, and something came off, the breather came off, something at 1,000 foot. Track crew didn't catch it. I went down that lane and went through the finish line, and the car kind of just shifted over half a lane towards the wall, and it was the end of the run anyway. Pushed the clutch in and just hold the steering wheel as straight as it could and let it come back. But that's about it. You don't really see too much crazy stuff in bracket racing and whatnot like that. But yeah, going down 130 some mile an hour through a trail of oil, I look back at the in-car camera and I'm like, oh, that's what that shining light, you're going down a track. You're not, as these guys know, you ain't looking at what's on the track. You're focusing at a point down at the end. So that's what you're driving straight to. And then all of a sudden the car just moved, and it's anything that happens like that. I mean, it happens way quicker for you guys, but you can become a passenger real quick in one of these things. And, thankfully that's the closest I ever came to having any kind of trouble or running through somebody else's stuff.
You make enough laps in a top fuel car, it all kind of feels the same. It all slows down after a little bit, and you feel like, you got 3.5 minutes to process what's going on the run. At least for me, that's how it's been happening. The more laps I get, the problem for me now is when I want to go bracket racing, I built a little 860 Roadster and thought, oh, this will be fun. I'm going to go out and do some bracket racing, which I'm terrible at, but I have an uncle who's really good at it, and I'm always wanting to try to go out and race with him because he gets to do it every weekend. And when you run a top fuel car, you don't get as many laps. You maybe get 25 runs a year for $1 million worth of expense. But I always thought I was going to go back, but kind of screw yourself when you start going fast. Your speed index is off, and no matter I'm running an 8-second car that runs 150 in a quarter mile, and it feels like I'm in my wife's Passat. So you can get yourself in real trouble, in that car. I got a little bit crossed up or, gotten some oil and I'm just, completely sideways hanging out thinking you're not going that fast. But man, you can really get hurt going 150 miles an hour. 50 miles an hour in the drag steers, a long time after the chutes come out, and it feels like you're slowing down. But, I think that's sometimes why you see some of the big show guys get into a nostalgia car and get in trouble because, to them, our cars probably feel pretty damn slow. And you can leg it out thinking I got this under control. Well, meanwhile, you're way out of the groove and completely sideways, and then all hell breaks loose. But yeah, we totally screwed ourselves on that one. I would love to go do some bracket racing, but man, I can't do it. It just feels like I'm getting on the freeway in my mom's or my wife's car or something. I guess until you get to first round, I get to first round in a bracket car, my hands and knees still start shaking because I want to win so bad. So I guess that's what we're after, not necessarily the speed, but yeah, it also.
I'll tell you another damn thing that was really crazy about being up there in Martin in Q2. That at that nighttime that dew had set in, just kind of real heavy air. And when we got up there, Jimmy leaned into the car and goes, "Hey man, this ain't Texas. There's going to be a lot of dew all over the place. So anything weird, just you probably ought to just get on out of it." And so, get up there, do the burnout. Everything's good. I can see, no problems. And then, get up there, stage up. And then all of a sudden, it kind of fogs up. Okay. That happens. Normally you hit the gas, it goes away. Well, it didn't go away. It just got worse. And then the clutch dust started coming up the car like this. And then it's a picture. Somebody's got it. I'm probably like 300 foot down there. And you can literally see the whole lens of my helmet is black. Like I couldn't see. Like I just the car was running great. I just could not see to go down the track. It made like a little bit of move, probably because I was moving towards the wall. But I was like, oh, so anyways, the guys we get down there or whatever, flip it up, get down there, and the guys are like, what the hell, man? Like the car looked great. Blah, blah. And I walked over to my helmet, just rubbed my finger across it like that, and went, see, right there. Can't see through the black clutch dust, man. You just can't.
There's been a few March meets that have been like that
too. If you've never been up and experienced the Midwest humidity in the evening like that, yeah, it can. I think the car probably would power through it, so you wouldn't have as much problem as a slower car or a door car would. But oh yeah, the windows will fog up when you get past 8-9 o'clock at night here in the summer. You really got to be careful with what you're doing and pay attention. Make sure you got your anti-fog shield on and get everything wiped off.
Let's see it.
Yeah, we've had a March meet like that too, or maybe it was a reunion. I'm not sure, but we ran the fuel altered like that, and the fuel alters tend to go last. And then we had a lot of guys pulling out of the staging lane saying, it's not safe to run, and I was ready to pull out of the lane too. I was pretty green driving the car, and Dad says, if anybody can get it down the track, you can, and give me a little vote of confidence. And I thought, all right, I'm gonna pull this thing up there, and my car was, making every lap right down the track. And, I pulled up, did my burnout, everything was going good, and put the visor down. And right when I stepped on the gas is when it fogged up, which is kind of the opposite of what I'm used to. Usually step on it, you get a little bit of wind, it goes away. And And I thought, man, nobody else got down the track. Everybody's smoking the tires instantly. I stepped on the gas and it went, about 60 feet. I couldn't see anything. I just held on to it for as long as I could. And then same thing. I felt a little wiggle. It might have been absolutely nothing, but when you can't see anything, it sure feels like a whole lot. And I let off the gas and thought, man, I could have been the one guy to have been the hero, Saturday night qualifying for everybody, or I could have been the total zero and went out there and just wadded my whole car up and been retired right there on the spot. Sometimes it's just not worth it. You got to be able to see in order to drive these cars.
Hey, Brian. Brian, do you know you just ooze badassery when you talk? You know that.
I sure don't feel like it, man.
Oh my God.
Hey, so Michael, successful season in Extreme Top Fuel, 3 races, obviously Denver, Norwalk, and Martin, Michigan. Any plans to expand next season? What can we expect for 2024? Anything on the horizon?
Man, I think that there was a couple of people that have that have talked to Jimmy about, maybe looking at some different venues and stuff. The thing about this deal is how much can you actually expand these races, being that, this is working dude stuff, man. And, having more races doesn't necessarily mean it's better. Having quality races is where we need to be. We've got plenty of races out there. A lot of these guys in these teams are 2 or 3 race teams. Some of them, maybe not even that, maybe 1 or 2. And so, really going into 2024 and then finishing up this year, I think our biggest discussion is, what are we going to do to keep the class strong, get the car counts to stay up. I don't think that we've had a race yet that hasn't had at least 8 cars, which is pretty good. And but I think that we could probably do better, group wise, and making some of that stuff change. So, we'll look into it. I don't want to say that there's more is not out there, but Vandermeer's gone. We're probably not going to see them. So, the extreme deal, 2 or 3, it probably going to be about 3 races, I would guess. Don't quote me on that, because you never know what Mr. Young's going to come up with next. But we got solid races out there, man. Heritage Series it's solid races too. So, there's definitely stuff to be looking at. Bowling Green is a Midwest race, whichever way you want to look at it. So there's definitely some opportunity there, and I really think that we probably need to support that race, coming into the future, whichever way that we can.
For sure. And before we go to break and wrap up, Dave, I'm not sure if this was your first time experiencing front engine top fuel drag. I mean, you've been to plenty of drag races, so I'm sure you've experienced it many times, or you can let me know or not. But just your thoughts of Extreme Top Fuel at Martin, Michigan, and your whole thoughts.
Yeah, I thought it was cool. Really loved them. I go back as far as when it comes to front engine dragsters to US 41 when Paul Romine broke into the 5s with one of them. So I mean, it's been a while. That's my home track. So that was cool to see way back when. But yeah, I mean, just the evolution and how quick they're going. And I mean, they put on a show like no other. If you haven't been out and experienced them, you definitely got to see them. And I think they were the only category there other than maybe the Jets and the exhibition funny cars that run the full quarter mile, which is really appreciated and cool to see too.
Awesome.
No half track racing around here, right, Brian? No half track racing. Only one way to measure a drag racing. That's 1,320 feet. The rest of it's just testing. It's just testing.
You get an 8th mile time slip, all you talk about is what it would have ran in a quarter mile, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
But you'll never know.
Over the years, we've vowed to not call it 8th mile. We try to call it half track. It's just a little dig. But I actually don't mind running to half track. Sometimes it's easier on parts. It's easier on your wallet. It's we could save a whole lot of stuff because, as we all know, from 1,000 foot to a quarter mile is when all the weird shit happens. And I believe that's the truth, 100%.
I'll tell you one thing, though. Those pro mods were something else. I've never heard a car shift 10 times in half-track racing ever in my life. Yeah. But I heard it multiple times. I was like, I don't even know what kind of transmission he's got in it, but it had shifted 10 times. It sounded like a Fast and the Furious race, man. Like, I'm like, I was looking at people like, y'all hear all that? I was like, shit, I was lost on shift 6.
No, if we're ever
That
gonna get
is the
stuck
one
running half track stuff, that we're gonna need some bigger tires, because our cars that have track just ain't gonna do it on little tires. We're all about 50 mile an hour, so we better get us some funny car tires and a bunch of transmissions if we're gonna even compete with the Pro Mod guys.
They were running like 205 miles an hour. I was like, this old direct drive, little engine, some bitch right here run 205 to the 8th. Come on now.
Yeah, but they're going like 870 to 60 feet.
Yeah.
So I would
but
like
they were doing it at 3.6 seconds. So they was hauling ass.
Some of those no prep cars and the street outlaw kind of guys run around up here, and I'd like to match race some of those dudes sometimes, but I really don't want to get my ass kicked by a door car when I got 4-foot header claims out of the pipes. Some of our times are pretty close on some of the not as super quick cars, so we don't really know what they run because they don't tell you, but I have some inside scoop. My Butch guy Jason Hall works on a few cars, and he's told me some of their times, and man, we're pretty close. So I'd like to take a shot at one of those guys one time. I'm just really leery because I got it all to lose and they don't. 3,000-pound door car taking a top of dragster's ass. I'll never hear the end of that.
Well, here's how you do that. You set it up, and then you go 1,320 feet whenever they stopped at 660.
I'll get some of the downswept headers, and I'll just burn the track off right in front of them. Maybe they'll have so many fumes in their eye they won't be able to see the tree or something. But, I really don't want to get my ass kicked by one of those guys.
Well, guys, another great episode of the Kings of the Sport podcast. We're going to take one last break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show.
The drag racing life and the RV life seem to go hand in hand like nitromethane and superchargers. And when you are traveling through the Lone Star State and you're needing work done on your RV, well, DFW RV Center is your star to contact.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Kings of the Sport podcast, episode number 17. And congratulations to all of our winners, both of our top fuel winners from this past weekend. You talk about the foothills of Boise, Idaho. Congratulations to Tyler Hilton, second win on the season. Here's your points lead in top fuel eliminator. And then all the way to the Irish Hills of Michigan. Congratulations to Jimmy Young getting the win in top fuel, second win of their season. And also want to give a shout out to Bobby Cottrell for getting the win in Nitro Funny Car from the NightFire Nationals. That is his fourth consecutive NightFire Nationals win, in Nitro Funny Car. And congratulations to Johnny West in the Plan A AA Fuel Altered. He gets the win. That is his first win from the NightFire Nationals since 1984, almost 30 years since Johnny West has been in the winner's circle at the NightFire Nationals. So congratulations to all of our Nitro winners from the 52nd edition of the NightFire Nationals from Firebird Raceway. Brian Hall, any final thoughts before we get out of here, man?
No, first of all, I want to say I wish I had the luck that Johnny West has, man. He had a bye all the way to the finals. Everybody he lined up against, I don't know if he was slashing tires or what was going on in the pits, but he got a bye all the way to the final. But he'd have been hard to beat anyway. Man, that thing's on a string. It's a cool car. I just want to try to get him to take the wing off the car. I think it was hanging the front wheels in the air at half track. And I think, man, if you could just take that wing off, maybe the front wheels would stay on the ground. But, some of those guys, they're not willing to try it. Van Horn and I did, and it seemed to work out for both of us. And maybe they're just using it for a place to hang their parachutes. I'm not really sure, but yeah, man, Hilton, they're jamming. They're going to be hard to beat this year. Saw a little chink in the armor this weekend when they didn't qualify number one, but you give those guys that many runs to get around, and then eventually they set low ET the event, and that's how that goes. They're going to be hard to beat. I'm loving seeing Jim Murphy go to the finals. That's awesome. Van Horn kicking ass out there this last weekend. That was great. McGee, all the guys that we race with. It was a great fun. I just hope we could have as good of a showing as we did at Boise at the Hot Rod Reunion. It was a good, clean race. Everybody, kind of kept everything in the car. There was no major catastrophes. Bill Windham went off the end of the track in that funny car, which was kind of scary.
Yeah.
But we didn't have any major, anything major going on in our class, which was good. Good to see the Bill is okay. Looks like he's in the hospital getting his ribs checked out and maybe a collarbone. I went over and talked to him after that. Do want to give a shout out to a certain fan at Boise. There's this little girl in the stands when we were towing by, and she went like this, gave me the heart symbol, and I went up, gave it back to her. I guess I was the only one in the staging lanes that did that back to her. This little girl was the cutest thing. I posted a picture of her, got her to sign my time slip. Her name's Rowdy. What a cool little kid, man. She was rooting us on all weekend. I ended up hanging out in our pits for an hour. So that was cool. It's good. We put a bunch of people in the seat this weekend like Michael does and like we kind of always do. And good to be back at Boise, and I can't wait to go back next year. We just got to talk those dudes into bringing us in for the Igniter so we can get 2 a year. I'd love to go back to that race twice. Every time I go there, it makes me want to move to Boise, Idaho. It's hard to come back. It's like California was 30 years ago. Kind of feels like home, but now the traffic's starting to ramp up. It's starting to look like California too, so maybe we're going to look for another place to go. But yeah, look forward to going back to Boise again next year. Hopefully we'll have Michael there. It sounds like he might run the Heritage Series a little bit more next year, and love to try to put his ass on the trailer.
You've already done that, like, I don't know how many times, man. What the hell?
Just one time.
At Boise.
Well, yeah. The only round win I've ever got, I think, in Boise was against you. In a dragster. We won the event in 2017 in the fuel altered, which is great. And it's been really hard for me not to, come into Top Fuel and, have some pretty good, steam when I came in. I went 575, 263, my very first real event, with like 8 runs under my belt. And I just haven't been able to make it all string together. Seems like I'm sometimes the quickest loser of every round. I just don't have it. I'm eventually going to string some together. I got to get a consistent car first. I think we were damn close last year to having a real good car, and then we had that big explosion. Now we're kind of starting to rebuild from that, and I'm just hoping that maybe we can go a few rounds or be at least a semi-finalist in a few races. And I'm just looking forward to the reunion and kind of redemption from this last race. I feel like I know what to do, and hopefully we'll get there.
Well, I mean, so obviously you're looking for a win out in Bakersfield, those final 2 races, but how excited are you to kind of play a hand in this championship as well? Because I'm pretty sure these guys do not want to face you going up against you when they have a championship on the line.
It feels good to feel like maybe these guys will take me seriously a little bit. It makes me feel like I'm a player. I'd love to put somebody on the trailer and take him out of a championship. I don't care who it is. I just want to win the race. But, those points haven't, I might be pretty far down on the points, but I'm qualified for the March meet. I am not completely, I'm pretty far out of it. Don't get me wrong, but I'll be up in there somewhere for sure, and if I can get past Bowen first round, that might be a little bit of a spoiler for them. And I had my chance last year to make a points implication with Hilton first round. And so happens that we smoked the tires and had that big fire, but they took us seriously, man. They staged that car and went 559 against me. So that showed some respect, from them to me, which was pretty cool to see that they didn't just, they knew that I put my car back together and I went up there and I was ready to run. So, they set low ET of the event on that run against me, which was, showed some respect that they took me seriously. So that's pretty cool. I'm just hoping that I could get a car that's consistently running in the 60s or 70s. I'm not necessarily shooting for 50s. If that happens, it'd be cool. But, I think in my perspective and with my car and what I got going on, I think if I can, run in the high 60s to mid 70s somewhere every round, cut some good lights, you got a good chance to win some drag races doing that. As long as you don't have to abort any, don't do anything stupid, you don't leave the valve covers loose or a fuel line loose or some stuff like that. If we just get our act together, like Bucky and those guys, they make thousands of runs and they got that thing that's like a well-oiled machine. And, if you can get to that point, you're just going to win rounds by default just by being there and being consistent, even if you are a little bit slower sometimes.
Definitely. And Greg, he says you will be there soon, Mr. Hall. Greg,
I can feel it, man. I sure hope so. I feel like we're on the right track. Our car owners have been treating us pretty good. I just hope they don't bail on me anytime soon, because if they do, I'll just be wrenching on Michael's car is what'll happen. Which, I don't mind that either. He'll slide me into the race. I don't have to drive the big rig and have tires blow off the trailer and get stressed out coming down a hill with the Jake brake on, or fading the brakes. So sometimes it's kind of nice just to go with Michael and get a house and dinner and not have to worry about anything. I just turn a couple screws on his car, and kind of nice.
Or he tells me, you just need to calm down and go away.
That is pretty much one of my strengths. I'm a diffuser. That is what I'm good at. I can take Michael on fire and put him in ice bath and set him off to the side, and we can keep rolling. But Michael gets fired up, and I'm pretty good at cooling him down. So maybe it's
because it don't take much. Where is the 9/16 wrench?
It takes me a lot to get fired up, but I think Michael's might have seen it once or twice. But yeah, it's a good combo.
Yeah, it's good stuff. Good times.
Michael, any final thoughts, man?
Well, I don't know how many people are watching this, and I hadn't made a big old announcement about this, but I figured I'd probably wait till the end. It's probably not going to be me driving my car in Tulsa. It's probably going to be the dude down in the corner of this screen over there, and he's not from Michigan.
What? Wait,
I mean, I'd try to put him in there, but I don't think he'd fit. But yeah, man. We're going to kind of play it by ear, but we needed to make a call pretty early just so everybody could get prepared. But that my son plays football on Friday nights, and he's playing varsity ball, and I'm not going to miss that. There's always more drag races, but there ain't more of those. So
yeah.
Talked to Bobby McClendon today, kind of told him what was going on. He was all, whatever we need to do, let's just make sure the car is there. And I wouldn't, anybody else I'd pick to be in my car would be him. He's been around it since day one. So, but we want to have the car there, and he's there in a points deal. And if it all works out, then we'll put him in the car, and I'll haul ass up there on Friday night or Saturday morning, and be over there, rooting him on and rooting the team on, and help him move forward. But we'll kind of play this out for the next few weeks, kind of see what goes on, and then we'll make a call there a couple weeks beforehand and make it happen.
How crazy would it be if I jump in your car and the first one I get in Top Fuel Dragster would be in your car?
I'll tell you right now, I wouldn't give two shits. Let's go. I would tear the panels off the side of the car. Look at Brian Fox. What? Here comes the crew. They're all watching.
To be honest, I don't know if I even really fit in your car that well, but if you got to put your backside of your foot on my head to smash me in there, I guess that's what we're going to have to do. I know me and you are the same height, but your inseam's about 4 inches longer than mine. So when I sit down, I'm 6'3". When I stand up, I'm 5'10", So whatever it takes, I have to call Brian Fox over and have him bring some sheet metal and maybe make a seat bucket that's a little lower for me. Not that you need to be any lower in your car, because I feel like I'm not going to be able to see anything. But it'll be fun.
It'll be fun, and we'll get out there and have some fun. But like I said, we're at a 75-25 right now, and if anything changes, we'll make the call. But either way, Brian's going to be there. He'll be at the race and participating in one way or the other.
Well, Michael, you say you didn't know how many people are watching tonight. Well, I'll tell you, this is one of our biggest live viewing shows that we've ever had. So I want to give a shout out to everybody who tuned in here tonight to episode 17 of the Kings of the Sport podcast. Thank you, everybody. And if you guys haven't already, make sure to like this show, share this show. Let's get the algorithm up, and comment and let everybody know we're talking everything front motored, top fuel dragster. I want to give a shout out also to Bobby Bennett of Competition Plus for letting us stream this show on Competition Plus, YouTube, and Facebook. And before I get out of here, everybody, if you do me a solid, this guy right here at the bottom of the screen, Dave W., we are going live Sunday night at 5 o'clock Eastern time. Yeah, this way. Right there, that way. Yeah. We are going live 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern time to break down and recap the final NHRA Heartland Nationals from Heartland Park, Topeka, Kansas, the final race from the Heartland of America. We're going to break it all down, bring you all the highlights. So make sure to tune in here on Competition Plus, YouTube, and Facebook for that show. It's going to be a great show. It's going to be a very emotional show. The final race from the the Heartland Nationals. So make sure to tune in for that. And congratulations one more time to Jimmy Young for getting a win out of the Northern Nationals in Extreme Top Fuel. And congratulations to Tyler Hilton and the entire Great Expectation teams for their win at the 52nd edition of the NightFire Nationals. Thank you guys all for tuning in. We'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Good night, everybody.
See ya.
Good night.
Bye.